In the name of God, and may peace be upon our Prophet Muhammad and his followers and companions. Thank you to Dr. Saif. To be honest, that maybe I really talked so much about, about his great background, and what Dr. Samuel also mentioned that this is being classified with from Trump administration, and it has three main components or three groups of the Muslim Brotherhoods within the terrorism movements, and now it's been complete yesterday, and at the end this issue become like official to the legislation institutions, and we can say that Trump and his coalitions watching the Muslim Brotherhoods and the Islam in general, and it was the specifications and focus on the direct issue of the historical land of Palestine. This wasn't like just like that, but targeting the Muslim Brotherhoods in Lebanon and in Jordan and in Egypt, because this is the three polars that is a direct body. And why Syria wasn't classified also, and also they have a direct subject, and Syria has a specific issue toward the American strategies and to contain this Syrian issue, or maybe they're trying to save Syria from the Iranian and the Russian access of powers, and also it's possible that some other countries can form in the same thing in Europe of what they did in the United States, like France, for example, in the identity with the rightist parties. Also, they are emerging, and now they are putting so much pressures on the biggest parties, and the general directions are have a tendency to the rightist parties. In May, Macron had some details discussions, and this is how it's happened in France with the reports that this movements are threatened the stability of France, and the Muslim Brotherhoods, they become like a hanger that you can hang anything you want for this crisis that suffered by the West and East, and under the justifications that taken the more discrimination policies against Muslims and Islam. And very strange, and the strange of that, this issue is not only towards the Western countries, but also there's another Arab countries they start classifying before the United States, and one of them is the UAE and Egypt. And Dr. Sami also mentioned this classification. It says, a richness since the Cold War, and that the green risk, then the red risk, and also the Huntington clash. That's what's called the clash of civilizations, arts, and the Islamic civilization is the most dangerous civilizations on the Western civilizations. That's why they call it the green civilization. And Bernard also, after he written the book and the Islam and the West, what's went wrong, and it's been translated to the Arabic language and many other other books. And in the 90s, what it's called the Islamic dangerous, they call the extreme Islam, and this is what it's called also the peaceful Islam. And we all know the game of the classification is not new, and this is also a kind of political bidding. It's like the philosopher, German philosophers say, it's like if you classify things, then like you're trying to own it. It's like he's owning the authority, and this subject also, so you are in the hand of the American hand, they classifying as they want, and United States of America, of course, they are not like the charitable institutions, but it's a superpower. They have their, interest that reflecting in the game of classifications and preparations. So in the 80s, in the past century, there was like a Mujahidi, Afghani Mujahidi. They are also leading fights, and also it's been received in the White House and housed in the White House. A great strategy Dr. Sami talked about, that to use the Islamic face to the risk of the communism. And also in the 80s, last century, with the emerging of the Islamic revolutions, the Shia, dangerous and also connected to it. And then after the September 11 issue, this equation went to flip down, and the Islamic Shia went also changed into the American authors, and especially in the Iraqi arena, that it's possible to have more tactical coalition in using the Shia against Sunni. And also there are so many other written, Richard Byrne and Kanan Mekia, that talking about the risk of the Sunni group and the Shia group, because of the Sunni movements, their roots is Salafis, and it's their genes, compositions, and also the Islamic Sunni, they cannot be controlled, but in the Shia there is like a background, and the Shia background, and also into the Shia approach. This is within the American descriptions, and this classification is not being justified, but maybe we can pay attention to have the head of the terrorism department designations, which is it's important positions, Sebastian Gork, and Dr. Sami know him, which is like he's from UK and Hungary, and also he was so close, like advisor the first campaign of Trump, and also it's been designated as like head advisor, and also he has effectiveness around him as lobbies, and have this political movements and Muslim Brotherhoods at the head of the and the Newsmax, that the rightist magazine, this is trying to submitting themselves as a charity associations and civil society organization to help the needies, and said read this institutional documents, and all the terrorist groups, modern groups, ideology belong to this organization, whether it was ISIS or Daesh or Hamas. They all have the same gene and as like descriptions. And this is like going out away from what's the previous American administration to distinguish what it called the extreme or jihad Islam or the peaceful Islam, and mostly what being classified of this political Islam, and top of them Muslim Brotherhoods within the mainstream, the peaceful or the conservative Islam. This has actually been welcomed by many sides, especially the Arab countries, Egypt and UAE and KSA. Netanyahu, he was one of the first people who congratulated Trump to take this decision, his approach to classify the Muslim Brotherhoods, and this classifications is like, I would like to thank Mr. Trump for his to ban the Muslim Brotherhoods and recognize them as a terrorist group in the whole Middle East. And he said Israel started to classify and this group. How we can read this classification? The Muslim Brotherhood is classified as a terrorist entity. It's like this is a kind of the American governments, especially the new conservatives, especially after the first break of the new conservatives, and after 11th of September and invasion of Iraq, and Obama. There was a tactical issue to contain the subject of Islam, and also there was so many good things said that Islam is a great religion and peaceful, and they distinguish them between the other groups, extreme groups, and Trump changed all of that, and Trump also, as Dr. Sami mentioned, this it's a naive conceptual method of way, like a Protestant, for example, what is in their mind, and maybe that of this Western from the 19th century, and as you remember, one of the declaration of Trump himself when he talked about Islam in general, it's not only to the specific political movement. He say that all these they have a tremendous pain. All those they have great hate, and it's like this strange area full of conflicts and chaos. And they have these people. They have in their gene animosity to the United States. Is not because of the policies or alternatives, but because of the religions and culture. Maybe there's 4 comments that I'd like to mention. This is actually not including Muslim Brotherhoods, but also cover 3 articles: Egypt and Jordan and Lebanon, also with all the geographical issue and the Israeli-Arab conflicts, and that we'll talk about it if we have some time, of some details. Secondly, the peaceful stream, which is believing in general, and this political, which is the Al-Ikhwan, Muslim Brotherhoods, that they were so careful to protect their peaceful image, and is not to use any radical extreme. And he's the third, stream to have so many democratic using Islamic base. And one of this, that's why they classified in the Western literacy that he is the leader of Islam. It's like a Kruzman book, Charlie Kruzman. He have a reference book of the higher education under the title of Liberal Islam, and it has so many correctional and reform movements. And fourth, this is stream that were ahead of the political issues after the Arab Springs, and they were won into the elections after all these revolutions in Tunisia and Egypt and Morocco, and he was ahead in the Yemen and Libya. And this stream, it was being coped and coped using political mechanisms and soft mechanisms. And at the end, we can say that these classifications, there is some cross-cutting 3 issues. The Arab regimes emerged from the Arab Springs, and they were fearing to return this back to the political arena. Secondly, Israel, that they have interest into mixing the political Islam and with Hamas, it has an open war, and also the rightist movements and populism that is saying that the Palestinian specifically and Islam in general, and also some they actually had some argument that said that he is Palestinians, and without saying he say that he's a devil at the end because he's Palestinian. And they were cursed him, actually. So why Egypt and Jordan? We talked about that, and Lebanon, because of the geopolitical issues. So I can conclude in that, because this target is including all these issues, but Trump, according to the Islamic in general, and specifically the Muslim Brotherhood, because they are the most mainstream and able to deal with the public. And secondly, this stream, they are able intellectually to interact with the modern environments and the era subjects, and in the cities, big cities, and also in the modern parties, institutions, and civil society organizations. So the nature of the composition of the Muslim Brotherhoods that they are modern, political modern movements, and that's why this is not like Muhammad Abdu when he went from the Al Azhar to the Dar al Ulum, the scientific departments, and all these are the one who implementing this between the Al-Azhar culture, and as well as this represents the Ikhwan Muslim Brotherhood school representing the correction school, and this gives great indications that they can build or have a dynamic modern Islam, but it's not titled. Ms. Jenner, also the English British researcher, Islam is like an exceptional in comparison with the other big religions. The only exceptions some because of the correction movements is connected between the Islamic roots and also the modern world, and this school was connected in a way or other, and also the Muslim Brotherhood school, because of the dynamics and the historical, they are more effective inside the Western societies. As a school, they are more able to stretch and all parties, institutions, and lobbies in the United States of America and the Western countries. Therefore, this is why they are targeted. In brief, that this classification of Al-Akhwan, because that fear from them is not because of their extremism. So they came from the Islam, and because of they are really using peace. But also there is a murshid, public murshid, that also with many extremes, and also from the young youth of the Muslim Brotherhoods. They are not being blamed because of that, but because of they are using a peaceful line, and so they've been targeted as the target of this stream that more morally, ethically, and also able to deal with this conflicts inside and out against the American strategy that based on the Arab suppressions under the title of the political stabilities in the Middle East, and to support Israel, and also to have this issue. That's why the Muslim Brotherhoods are targeted. This is from the one side. The other side, because it's more strong and more able and effective to stand in front of the American strategies, and also because they are supporting Israel and what's called in the Middle East, and more than that, like the MENA region. Thank you very much.